Live.
Bum 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 ba da 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 bum ba dun da dun 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 bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba da 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 dun da dun da dun dun ba dun 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 da dun dun da dun da da dum ba dun da dun dun da dun da dun dun bum ba da dum da dun 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 da dun da dun dun da dun da da dum ba dun da 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 dun 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 dun. Hello, hello, my mighties. Hello, Facebookers. So nice to see everyone. Kathy, our area is dry. Let's see. Thank you, Irene. Hello. I'm starting. Yes, I am. I'm here for you. Hi, Noreen says from Pensacola. You bet. I was watching some old Facebook videos when Joette used to sing songs. I wish she would do that again. Yeah, I know. You know, my kids talked me out of it. They said, Mom, that's really cringeworthy. Ah, plus I have to be careful what I sing because songs are owned. So I have to be very careful. I have to go all the way back to 100 years ago, basically. Hi, Junette from San Antonio. Wonderful to see everyone. Julie from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Kathy from Maryland. And yes, I heard about the terrible flooding myself. Yeah, there's terrible flooding in it was outside of Nashville. I heard this morning. Hello from Beacon, New York, and folks from Facebook Live. Hello from Ontario. Hi, Wanda. Hello from Dallas, says Michelle. In Montreal, says Juliana. I think that was. It just moved so quickly. Yes, Juliana. And Teresa from Minnesota. I love to see where everybody's from. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Central PA. So, hi. How are you? You're looking pretty good. And so, if you're new here and you don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese. I'm a homeopath for over 3 decades, actually going on 3.5 decades, a mom who raised her kids using homeopathy only, just homeopathy and nutrition, a little bit of some herbs that I wildcrafted myself. But I'm here today to be your teacher. I love doing this. We're going to work from my Materia Medica. We are still in my Materia Medica. And Materia Medicas are wonderful for you to know about. This is mine. You can purchase it should you choose. So let's try to get it on the correct angle here. But if you don't want to use mine, that's fine too. There are many Materia Medicas. Mine is really just a cursory Materia Medica, but there are those that are from the great masters. And it's important to before you make a decision on choosing a medicine to read the Materia Medica. Yours, there at this juncture, I think I own about 43 to 45 Materia Medicas. I try to own those of the great masters as well as those that are not so well known. I have a lot of Indian Materia Medicas, and they are very valuable if you're going to study homeopathy. So, excuse me. So, I just want to tell you a little story. My husband and I are staying with my brother for the last month and a half, so that we can spend time with family. And we have a little apartment in the back of his house, which is just precious. My brother is a historian of Western New York. I mean, he really knows his stuff. He's not a published historian, but he's has a great interest in it. And so he knows the sites, he knows the streets, he knows what they're named after, who they're named after, what happened on this street in this building and that. So he's also an avid bicyclist, and just a casual bicyclist. He's not the kind that wears the little spandex things. But he rides around most every day on his bicycle when the weather is lovely. And so he encouraged my husband and me to go bicycling with him yesterday. Now, I used to swim, as some of you may know, because I've talked about it in the past. I used to swim every day in the ocean in Florida. But then things changed. I got away from it. And then the next time I went back to swim, the water was not right. There was algae, or there were, too much life going on in the ocean. And so I stopped doing it. And so for some reason, you know how we get in and out of um, habits. I got out of the habit of swimming and walking. So I have done almost no exercise at all. My brother convinced us to go on a bike ride yesterday. Well, I had this old bike, vintage, rather vintage. I would say it was probably built in the 50s. Could even have been older than that, right? Maybe the 50s. Stratocaster, that's what it's called. It was really fun. And I say it was fun. It wasn't completely fun. It was hot yesterday, and we went for a bike ride for 3 hours. We stopped once. Now, my body's not used to that. Oh, nay, nay, said my body from the very beginning. This bicycle is so old, it has no gears. The seat was hard as can be. And it was hot, but I kept at it because I wanted to keep up with my brother and my husband. And so before I left, I knew this was going to be very strenuous for me. So I took something. Now, I'm not going to tell you to do this every time, but I do want you to know what I took. I'm not going to be a coy about this. I'm going to tell you what I did, and you might want to do at some point. And this is not what we're going to be talking about tonight, but I thought I'd just kind of give you a little interesting update on my life, because I think that makes life interesting to hear all those stories. I used Arnica 1M. I used Arnica 1M, 1 dose before we left, because I knew my joints were going to be screaming. I could feel them. Even my hands, I knew were going to be in pain. And so then halfway through, I took a dose of something else that I take in 1M. Now, I do this because, remember, I'm nearly 70, folks, okay? And so I have joints that are not so supple. And I took Roost Tax 1M because I know my body. And I also happen to know that if I'm not careful, I can have some arthritic sensations at best. So I took that halfway through. So it was about an hour and a half into the bike ride. And I have to tell you that halfway through, I was regretting that I had agreed to do this. It was a lot of work. And then at one point, we were on a bridge in an old part of Buffalo, and my bike, I kind of lost my balance a little bit because I went into a little rivet in the sidewalk or on the street, and I hit some gravel, and my tire hit against the curb. And when I say bridge, I mean, how do I put this? Really old, decrepit, industrial part of Buffalo. And I just went, bam, I fell right over, landed on my knee. I was fine. It hurt. It's still a little bit sore today, but it's not so bad. So when I got home, now we were dehydrated, even though we'd been drinking water. It was apparently not enough water. It was very hot and very strenuous, and we were quite perspired, and I was beat. 3 hours. It was 11 miles. My brother said, oh, for crying out loud, 11 miles takes me about 40 minutes. But I stretched it out because trying to get up those hills was a lot of work. And there were hills. There were a lot of hills. So we even went over railroad tracks. We went into the industrial part of Buffalo. It was an adventure. By the time I got home, I was pretty beat up. And so, oh, mystery of life, I have found thee. These medicines, my friends, saved me. I was able to drink a lot of water that night. I drank a lot of water last night with salt, I might add, because I had to replenish the loss of water and salt. I drank a lot of lemon in my water as well, and I took these remedies. Now, I could feel that my joints were really not so great, but I didn't suffer horribly, and I know that I would have had I not taken these. I took one more dose of Arnica before I went to bed, and I slept like a baby. Woke up this morning, felt stiff. Okay, so I felt stiff. What do you suppose I took? I know you know. I'm not going to tell you. I know you know what I took. So I am going to leave that up to you to figure that out and let me know what you think I took. Monica says, I take Roost Tax 1M, Arnica 1M, Anti-Pyrcom 1M, as well as Leadem 200 when I go on long mountain hikes. Yep. Scenic Buffalo. Yeah, I know. Roost. Yes, Roost Tax. I took Roost Tax this morning because I was stiff. I mean, I felt like an old woman. Not just an old woman, an old, very old woman, an antiquated woman. And so then I was fine all day. I did my work. I sat. I worked with clients. I wrote. And then I could feel it again this afternoon. I said, oh my gosh, I feel decrepit and old again. So what did I do? I took it again. I took Roost Tax again. Yes, you're absolutely right. Some people are saying Bryonia, and Bryonia could have been a good choice, except that Arnica and Roost Tax work so. Bellus perennis for my fall. You bet. Old Rusty Gate, says Francine. You bet, sweetie. Absolutely. Old Rusty Gate. Roost Tax, Rusty Gate. And that's exactly how I felt. And so, as you can see now, I feel great. I really feel just fine. I can feel that probably tomorrow I'm going to have to do it again, maybe another dose or two. And then I should be just fine. Old mystery of life, I have found thee. Isn't that what the homeopathy is about? It is, oh, mystery of life, I got and found you. Ruta could have been, was certainly a possibility, and I would have put that aside. However, here's something I want you to think about. When you use a medicine and it acts, don't move. Don't move from that. Stay with it. Don't tinker with success. I want you to remember that. Don't tinker with success. Roost Tax and Arnica worked. Stay with it. Now, I've talked about Arnica. My gosh, I love Arnica. And the reason I love Arnica is because it's got many, many more purposes than you would think. And that's not what we had planned on talking about tonight. But I just want to chat, I guess. I just want to tell you about what happened to me and then help you, because this is the season where people hike and canoe and work and swim and ride bikes, etc. So I want you to remember this. The first time I ever used Arnica in a 1M was when I had a hockey player, a professional hockey player. In fact, he was the captain of his team. And I won't tell you his name, and I won't tell you the name of the team, but I worked with many of the players on this professional hockey team. And he came to my office because he was dropping off his wife and children. It's when I had a brick and mortar office. And I was taking their cases, but he walked in, and I had never met him before, but he walked in just to meet me, and he looked half dead. I've told this story many times. He looked peaked, and gray. And I said, are you all right? And he said, nope, I'm not all right. He said, we've been working out, and this is what they do. And every season, at the beginning of the season, they work us to the bone. And now I'm at this particular age as the captain. I'm not young like the 21-year-olds. And I am really sick. I feel nauseous. I feel weak. Every bone in my body is screaming at me. My joints, I feel very, very sick. And I said, well, are you interested in trying homeopathy? He had not tried it. His wife and children were using it, but he had not been willing to use it. He probably didn't believe in it. He wasn't going to say that to my face, but I'm sure he just didn't believe in it at that point. And so he said, yeah, I guess, reluctantly, he agreed to it. And so I went and got Arnica 1M. Now, I can't administer medicine, so I gave it to his wife, and I said, if he would like to take this, he may do so. And so he was really, when I tell you, this is a big man, very strapping, very masculine, normally healthy looking. I know that because I knew him later on after this. And I gave her the 1M, and I said, should you be interested? Here it is. So she said, honey, you really have to take this. So he did. He agreed. He complied. And he took it, and I said, you may lay down here in my office. I had a window seat that was specifically for people to lay down. if they wanted to. And he said, no, I'm going to go in the car. I feel too sick and I don't want to bother anyone. So we went into the car, and about 40 minutes later, he came back into the office and said, what the HE double hockey stick is that stuff? I can't believe it. I feel like a completely new man. The aches and pains are gone. The nausea is gone. The weakness, the fatigue, everything that I was experiencing, the pain, the throbbing, the aching, it was gone. It's gone, he said. And that turned his thinking around. I hope to this day, it's been a long time since that event, but I hope to this day that he still is feeling that way. Subsequently, as a result of that event, many other of the, or a handful, I should say, of the other professional hockey players came to me for their care, and their families as well. So the upshot of this is overexertion in a relationship to overdoing it physically and for athletic events. So if you over ski, you over paddle, you over hike, you over bike, you over swim, anytime anything like that occurs, I want you to remember, my friends, Arnica, Montana. And if there is stiffness and weakness as well, then you might add Roost Tax. Now, I added Roost Tax for myself because I did have that stiffness, especially in that next morning, but I knew I would. So I knew enough to take that. It was almost as a prophylactic. Don't overdo it. These are high potencies. They're not dangerous, but they are something that you want to be aware of. And it's a great way to turn on the men in your life who may not be so inclined to use homeopathy for their sports events, etc. And you can turn them and their buddies onto this. All right, let's talk about the medicine at hand. And that is, we're going to be talking about a medicine that's specific for the throat and the chest and weakness and coughs. And the medicine is, we're going through my Materia Medica, and here it is, Stannum metallicum. Stannum, S-T-A-N-N-U-M. Stannum metallica means metal, and it's spelled exactly how you would think, M-E-T-A-L-L-I-C-U-M, metallicum. Stannum metallicum. And I want you to remember that Stannum metallicum it's made from tin, by the way. Fascinating, isn't it? But because it's highly diluted, it has brought the toxicity of the aspect of the metal down and the curative aspect to the fore. Oh, sweet mystery of life. So, whenever someone has a cough or a cold or something that has to do with the throat or the chest, and there's a sense of weakness in the chest. And I know this sounds strange. If you haven't had that sensation, you may not know what I'm talking about, but it is a sensation of weakness. And someone will actually say, I feel weak in my chest. It's not that they can't get their breath as much as they feel weakness in the chest or weakness in the throat. They can't get the words out very readily because they just feel as though that area is highly compromised. So I'm also going to read from my Materia Medica that says this remedy acts on the nervous and respiratory systems. It is especially useful when a large amount of mucus builds up in the chest, as in chronic bronchial and pulmonary conditions, including tuberculosis. Now, we don't see tuberculosis here, but I saw plenty of it when I was working in Calcutta. We saw it pretty regularly. Talking causes a weak feeling in the throat and chest, while pains may occur and go gradually. Other symptoms may include paralysis or weakness, spasms, etc. So it starts with, or it focuses on those two areas with accompanying weakness. The person feels better after coughing or expectorating. So they work very hard to get the mucus from the chest or the throat up and out, but because of that weakness, they can't do it very efficiently. And so if they can just get it out, then they do get a sense of relief, and then it builds again and it starts once again. It's a great medicine, by the way, for pneumonia. And I've written about pneumonia on my blog, so you might want to take a look at that. There's Cali Carbonicum I've talked about. So just I've written so much on my blog. Please take advantage of it before they take me all down. And that is very likely, my friends. It is very likely that you will not see me someday on these forums. So that's why, of course, I put together this platform, my very own platform of Joette's Mighty members. So take advantage of Facebook Live and anything I do for free for as long as possible. But should something happen, I do want you to know that I have this private platform. So, and there's a weakness, not just in the chest. Sometimes there's actually a weakness throughout the body, but it seems to be focused more in the chest and in the throat. Okay. Let's see some of these questions. Let me look at the mighties. All right. Stannum metallicum, homeopathic tin. Okay. Yes, you bet they're better things than steroids for COPD. Absolutely. Can it be used for concussions? I don't think of it as a concussion medicine. Yep, pain gone. Ditto. Your remedies work. They're not my remedies, but thank you for giving me the credit, Anne. Absolutely. Listen, I'm not ignoring you who's asking about the COPD, but I have talked about it on my blog. So take a look there. And I'm going to be teaching that in the academy. I know you don't want to go that far. I understand. But or maybe you do someday. But the point is that is it's a little COPD is a little bit more complicated, not because the condition is complicated, but rather we want to know a little bit more on how it's presenting. So okay. Homeopathy is amazing, says Jen. I have a throat tickle from asthma type cough, comes from nowhere. Asthma type cough tickle, I don't think of it that way. I think of Ipecac for that. Cheers to you, says Carol. Yes, thank you. Every time I put something in my mouth, I cough a couple of times until I clear the irritation. Then I sneeze once or twice. Is there a remedy for this type of cough? Here's the thing. When you put something in the mouth, is it potentially an allergy is what we always think of. Listen, let me also say this, that a lot more than we realize is the cause that causes illness has to do with extrinsic factors. So we always look at, before you open a case, your own case, your dog's case, your child's case, your husband's, always look at what is the person taking in. What are the drugs? Start with the drugs of commerce, my friends. And I'm not telling you to stop all drugs of commerce. That would be foolhardy. That would be imprudent. Instead, what I'm going to suggest is that you look at what the drugs are that the person's taking, and then whatever that condition that person is having, look to see if that drug can cause that condition. Because if the drug, any one of them, Synthroid, any of the blood pressure drugs, statin drugs, one of the worst, statin drugs, psychotropic drugs, birth control pills. Yes, my friends, birth control pills, one of the worst. I would like to make that very well known to all women and men so that they can protect their women. Always look at whatever the condition is that you're suffering, even though you might have been taking the blood pressure drug or the birth control pills for the last 10 years, and only in the last year you've noticed this condition. Nonetheless, don't assume that just because once you started it, you should have had those conditions, those side effects show again at that point. How long does it take for a side effect to really present? How do you know? Does anyone ever teach us this? Does anyone ever tell you in any of these little inserts that they put together in which you need a magnifying glass to read all the side effects? Do they tell you how long it takes before the side effects start to really mount and cause chronic disease? They don't tell us that. They don't know. But we know. And the reason that we know is because we use our sense of observation. We watch. And we look at the timeline. and we look at how long this person has been on this drug and what the side effects are known to be as a part of that drug. And don't look up side effects of statin drugs. No, look the other way around. Do statin drugs cause this, whatever it is, weakness in the legs, pain in the ankles? Does this antibiotic cause ruptured tendons in the feet, in the ankles? That's what you want to do, because more often than not, I can't tell you how many times when I take a case, when I look at the drugs that the person has been taking, long-term or short-term, that indeed that drug causes exactly the condition that person is suffering from. We are healthier than we believe we are. The problem is we have all fallen. All of us, including myself, have fallen for the drugs of commerce. But my friends, if you haven't noticed, it's catching on. People are catching on. There's an awareness lately, more than ever. The jig is up. These drugs are dangerous. Now, it's equally dangerous to hop off of them as well, certain ones. So you must not just hop off of drugs. It has to be done judiciously and with some good thought and some experience. And so if your doctor is prescribing drugs and insists on them, you're with the wrong doc. We have to choose our medicines based on also our dollars. Where do we spend our dollars? Who do we go to? Find a doctor who knows what you're talking about, who can be a member of your health team. Hard to find, but worth the effort. And where do you find these docs? Go to your local health food store and talk to the owner. Go to the local food co-op and talk to the people who run it, the older people, not the younger ones so much, but the older people. I'm sorry. I think that it takes some real experience to figure this kind of stuff out. Go to your local chiropractor chiropractic, beautiful. Love them. Love them. Your chiropractor is part of your team, and he or she can be very valuable in just assessing this alone. But if you need to see a medical doctor, then ask your chiropractor. Talk to nutritionists. Talk to people who are already in your camp. Don't ask another conventional doctor. He'll just give you his buddy who thinks the same way. You want the renegades. You want those who think for themselves, who are not being taught that statin drugs are safe and effective. Statin drugs, this is what they learn in medical school. Statin drugs are safe and effective. 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 Now they get out into the field, they give someone statin drugs, and the person can't walk any longer. They've got leg cramps. Their legs are weakened. Their libido is in the tank. But what do they say to themselves? Statin drugs are safe and effective because they paid to learn that. You want someone who knows enough to think outside of that box. They're rare, but more and more coming around. And if you go online and go to forget CNN and ABC and CBS and NBC and forget all of those places. That's not news. That's all paid for by industry. I know, because I used to work for NBC, folks. I know, I was in the sales department. I know exactly how it worked. It wasn't that they were selling the product. It was that they had full control over the news department. The sales department ran the news department. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that they know they can run what is put on the news. So stay away from those. Go to those people who are out there in the other area of the internet who are citizen journalists, where there's no money behind it. There's no big money. That's what we're looking for. Those people who are interested in helping humanity. That's the kind of person you want. That's who you're looking for. And if you don't find them, keep digging. Ask others. Okay, I found my doctor through my somatic PT, and he is from Germany and older, gray hair, thinks way out of the box. Took forever to find him, but worth it. You bet. That's what Nancy says. True. We have the best insurance from Blue Cross Blue Shield, but never use it. Our chiropractor has been our doctor out of pocket. It's what I did too. Absolutely. Diane from Baltimore, I just started because it kept saying, okay, then I went off and back on again and was, okay, I'm not sure I understand that one. I need to lower cholesterol because medical person is recommending statin. I don't know. Check out the Weston Price Foundation. Weston A. Price Foundation, and read up on cholesterol. My cholesterol is high, thank you very much, and it makes me very happy. I love my high cholesterol. I want high cholesterol. That's what makes me healthy. If I had low cholesterol, I'd be in rough shape. So think twice about whether high cholesterol is really a threat. There's a lot more to it than that. But if you check out Weston A. Price Foundation online and check out what is said by Dr. Weston Price and others, you will find lots of really good information on cholesterol and the let's see, the half-baked theory behind it. Okay, here we go. Monica, check out Samaritan Ministries. It's a health share and really great. Interesting. Love that Samaritan Ministries. Now, when I was living in New York, you couldn't get that. It's not allowed in New York because New York knows better for us. They know exactly what we need. What would we do without New York State? Cheers to you too, Carol. I wish I could stay here all night. Listen, the reason I'm leaving and the reason I always leave pretty much on the dot, although I'm 2 minutes late right now, is because I am teaching classes every Monday night and often Wednesday nights as well. And these are the gateway folks who join in the study group. So consider, if you're not someone who has been involved or joined my gateway to homeopathy groups online, it's very inexpensive and you will meet other people who are of like mind. And so with that, my friends, I say good night. Pass on the good word of homeopathy. I love you all. God bless you. Bye.